and across the world at 3news.com. On Facebook, we're streaming live on 3FM 927. Coming up in the next 90 minutes. Some semblance of calm restored at Nkwanta in Oti region, following renewed communal clash resulting in loss of 5 lives. We'll bring you an update. Also coming up tonight, President Mahama to submit his final ministerial appointment to Parliament on Monday, fulfilling his pledge to name all nominees within 14 days of his swearing in. Meanwhile, Chairman of Appointments Committee Bernard Ahiafo has not taken kindly the minority's comment alleging bias against their side during vetting of ministers designate. We have all of these plus business and sports all coming up in the next 1.5 hours. My name is Beatrice. Thank you for joining us. But for now, though, Grace Agyemang is here with the summary of the news. Grace, what do you have?
Beatrice, let's begin from the presidency because President John Mahama will submit the final list of his ministerial appointment to Parliament on Monday, January 20. The list includes nominees for critical ministries such as Defense, Interior, Environment, Health, Labour, and 6 regional ministers, fulfilling his pledge to name his full cabinet within 14 days of taking office. Away from that, Speaker of Parliament Alban Suman Agbagbin has described the 8th Parliament as the best ever. He credited its hung nature for enabling members to effectively check executive power and safeguard the public purse despite differing opinions. And the Electoral Commission has failed to complete collation for the Ablekuma North constituency after its regional office in Accra was vandalized. The incident forced officials to abandon the process. NDC constituency organizer Musa Kamalu says this cannot continue. Former Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Osaichi Mensah-Bonsu has raised concerns about the legality of the Operation Recover All Loot Oral Committee. He criticized its name and questioned its authority to send letters accusing individuals of looting the state without proper investigation or trial. And finally, concerns are mounting within the security sector over alleged politically motivated promotions, with qualified personnel reportedly sidelined for genius over the past 8 years as a new administration takes charge, calls for transparency and merit-based reforms in promotions are intensifying. That's it for the summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Agyemang. Let's bring you the details of our stories now, and there's some semblance of calm at Nkwanta in the Nkwanta South District of the Oti region, hours after renewed clash there. There were exchanges of gunfire reportedly between rival factions in the area, leading to the loss of lives and torching of some properties. Some residents have fled the area to avoid getting caught up in the violence. The government has indicated troops deployed to the area have managed to restore calm, with additional troops tasked to augment others already there to prevent any further violence. Felix Kwachofosu, acting spokesperson to President John Mahama, announced the development in a social media post which was actually done earlier, and he said that on the Nkwanta clashes believed to stem from a chieftaincy dispute, a combined team of police and military personnel were quickly deployed to restore calm. Additional troops being sent today to enforce law and order Well, the police has just released a statement on this, and Grace Agyemang is still here in the studio with us. Grace, can you bring us the details of the statement?
Yes, Beatrice, I think what is striking in this, it is a 6-point statement from the police. What is striking in this is the 4th point, which says the Inspector General of Police has spoken to the 3 chiefs in the area over the telephone and appealed to them to partner with the security agencies to maintain security, law and order in the community. And the police says it has also restored calm, law and order at Nkwanta and its environs in the Oti region with the deployment of reinforcement teams to support the regional command. The data here, according to the police, is that 5 persons have died. There's been 5 persons who have also been injured. 8 buildings and 1 shop have been destroyed. The 5 victims, or the 5 injured victims, are currently receiving medical care, while the bodies of the 5 deceased have been deposited at the morgue. Meanwhile, the Oti Regional Police Commander is also in the area, engaging the chiefs, opinion leaders, and community members as part of their peace-building activities, and investigations into the incident continue. The police is assuring the public, particularly the people in Nkwanta and its environs, that the police and the military will continue to work together to ensure peace and security are maintained in these communities.
Quite unfortunate incident there in Nkwanta South area, but thank you very much, Grace Agyemang, for bringing us the details of that statement from the police released some minutes ago. Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
We just heard the statement from the police indicating that 5 people have died and 5 others injured in this latest renewal of the chieftaincy crisis in Nkwanta area. I'm just wondering how you're reacting to this incident, first of all.
Well, another sad episode. Needless, deaths. This is not the first time. The Nkwanta South area has been in the news for some time now, and curfews have not been able to reduce the incidence of chaos and call them deaths in the area. I was expecting that probably the outgone government would have done a lot more to deal with this recurring conflict in the Nkwanta South area. But unfortunately, it wasn't dealt with. It was dealt with, they attempted to deal with it using curfews and using security solutions. And anyone who understands these things, conflict will tell you that measures such as curfews are temporary. You can flood a place with military officers and police officers, but for how long are they going to be there? You will withdraw them after, probably you have tensions calming down. But the root causes of this conflict has not been dealt with. And so it just takes sometimes a guinea fowl to trigger a violent confrontation for people to die. And so it's just unfortunate. And I'm hoping that the leadership, His Excellency John Mahama administration will put in pragmatic measures in ensuring that this chieftaincy crisis where we have seen in Nkwanta South area will be a thing of the past.
And we know that the president has already spoken about, or should I put it, expressed his passion about dealing with this chieftaincy crisis across the country. We'll go into that. But you made a point about authorities trying to deal with it and couldn't. Are you able to tell us, beyond what you said, why you think they could not deal with this problem at this time?
Well, they haven't been able to deal with the problem in the past because, if you ask me, I would say they are using the wrong methodology in dealing with this crisis in the Nkwanta South area and in various locations. You can see, I'm sure you have read about the Agyemang, we have Boko, we have them all over the place. It is just simple. We are using wrong methods. We flood the place with military officers and police officers. After some time, when everybody retreats back into their room, withdraw them overnight, and then hope that they won't do that again. And it comes back. Instead of using intelligence, gather intelligence, use local community people, train some of them, and trying to give you intelligence on the triggers. Because as far as I'm concerned, these things don't just happen overnight. There is always a trigger. And once you do not deal with it, if it's chieftaincy, like we have in Boku, if it's chieftaincy, why is it recurring? Who is making a claim? And we know that the executive doesn't have power to deal with these things. And so there has to be a point in which we mediate, a point in which we dialogue. And dialogue shouldn't cease. It needs to be continuous. We haven't been able to do that. The other aspect has to do with some people commit pure crimes in using chieftaincy disputes, committing pure crimes. And once those who commit these crimes are not punished by the law, the laws are not used in punishing them, others are emboldened to do worse. And so you can see over the period increasingly, then the numbers keep going up. What you just read, 5 people have died. Are we going to wait till about 20 people die? I don't want to believe so. And so let's put in pragmatic measures. Let's ensure that mediation, dialogue, while the law is actively in place, and ensuring that intelligence on the ground is good, so that once we spot a trigger, we spot something that is likely to trigger, a renewed clash, we deal with it immediately. But we haven't been able to do that in the past. And it's all over the country.
And we'll go...
Go ahead, yes.
We'll go into the pragmatic measures that you talk about, but I've heard you mention impunity, which probably could be fueling these violence that we're seeing across the country. You also talk about picking intelligence and using local people. There have equally been concerns about political leaders who are supposed to be positive influences in these areas, also belonging to the factions. How do you think that could be aggravating what we're seeing now?
Clearly, that is a danger. And you see some political leaders, opinion leaders. And you see, we are going to see a few of this, because then when political power shifts, one faction that probably had gone to sleep or feels that, we were being punished, or we were taken through some sort of unjust processes, quickly becomes awake, and they try to take the laws into their own hands. And so for me, I think that there has to be a way to name and shame those who go on political platforms and promise that when you give me power, I am going to ensure that this person would no longer be the chief, you would be the chief. And so when these promises becomes the order of the day, and there is, I'm not saying that is what is happening, but there are people who do promise, behind the scenes, sometimes on political platforms, and they take advantage of sometimes a shift in the political party that is forming a government at a particular time. And so I would want to see probably the Peace Council. The Peace Council, the law that establishes the Peace Council, does not give it any biting force. And so they can only go there. And sometimes even the Peace Council is forbidden from entering into an area because they are also seen to be probably siding with a certain one side of the feuding party. And so as far as I'm concerned, there has to be a way to have something that would mimic or to ensure that we have the Peace Council given a biting force to be able to subpoena and bring people with force to a round table to say, no, we need to talk. If we are not able to do this at the moment, apart from attempting to use the law enforcement agencies, do we have any state agency that can go in and so, no, the feuding parties, I'm subpoenaing you, come to me, we need to sit and dialogue and go into it. We don't have anything like that. And so as far as I'm concerned, just like you said, promises are made on political party platforms. People feel that now I'm in power, I can do what I want. People feel that, there is a change in government. Even if I'm not a member of this, the new government, I can take advantage of it to foment trouble and begin to do things, because then they would say it is the party in government that's doing it. All these things are things that probably we should have spotted and should have been able to neutralize before today. But better than never, I'm expecting that a lot more is done in ensuring that these things we have a proper policy document dealing with it. I know that we have a national security policy document highlighting all of these things. The outgoing government, I'm not sure the last time they went back into it to see whether the KPIs that they have put in there, whether they have achieved some or they have achieved zero. Because that comprehensive national security policy document, which we all probably contributed to, should have been a guide over the period where incrementally that we have been able to work on and successfully executed to see how it was done. And then those that must come and do it. But it's become a document that is gathering dust. Not much is being said about it, and that's it. And all these things are going to go on if we cannot put these things in place and ensure that conflict of this nature, we have to check them.
You've already provided some of the answers as regards the way forward, but I just wanted to take you back a little bit. Aside from the statement coming from the police and the details given to us just a while ago, what personally have you picked as regards what has influenced what we are witnessing now in Nkwanta South, where 5 people dead and 5 others injured with properties destroyed?
I just think what I have picked, the intel I picked indicate that some people felt that they were not treated fairly in the past, and therefore this is the time to probably deal with those who might have taken the laws into their own hands with impunity. And these things are going to go on because once someone feels that yesterday, because probably I didn't have power or no one listened to me, today probably I can also do it and nothing would happen. And as far as I'm concerned, my intel is pointing to that, where people feel that, well, we were taken through something that we didn't like. And so we are not going to sit for it to happen again.
So what is that exactly? What is that exactly?
Well, they feel that the other side of the divide were treated unjustly. And therefore, if my side is treated unjustly, why not? Today,
as regards the same chieftaincy issue?
Exactly, yes.
Now, let's talk about the solutions. And I know you've already mentioned some of them. You talk about Peace Council being even able to subpoena people and going in directly to deal with the matter. You've also mentioned punishing corporates so it will serve as a deterrent to others who feel like they can also do anything and go scot-free. And then you talk about pragmatic ways. And before I asked you that question, you were talking about the need for us to implement the national security policy document or strategy, as it were. We also know, and that was what I said earlier from the beginning of our conversation, that President Mahama seems to want to make these chieftaincy issues a priority. Beyond what you said and what the president is saying, what do you think should be his priority areas in terms of dealing with this issue?
Well, I think in terms of dealing with this issue, you see, when you go into a community where people won't stop fighting, don't go too far. Most of it has to do with people having too much time on their hands. Economically, they have nothing to lose, and so they will destroy. And so I would want, because one of the triggers to these conflicts we are seeing has to do with unemployment. If the youth are employed all over the country, chances are that you cannot go into a factory and call a young person to come and fight on your side. He's going to tell you that, well, I have a family, I have a house to lose, and therefore I wouldn't want to do such a thing. And so youth unemployment would have to be dealt with. Secondly, we would have to use local solutions in dealing with these matters. Unfortunately, what has happened is that we try to probably, the situation in Boko would be different from the situation in Dagbon. The situation in Dagbon would be different from the situation in Nkwanta South. But unfortunately, we seem to have one solution fits all. And so go in, declare a curfew, and then after some time withdraw. I would want to see a situation where these community members, you go to, let's say, if there's a secondary school, if there's a primary school, if there are markets in this community, NCCE, should also be empowered, given the requisite training and the requisite resource to go in there and act as mediation actors, mediation trainers, Go in there, train people in large numbers in schools, in markets, and in call them funerals. Go there, let them know that these things could be triggers. The moment you see them giving you, quickly use it to deal with the situation and report quickly so we can come in from the national level to deal with it. But at the local level, the people are so incapacitated that when something is going on, the first thing you see is waiting for the national to come in and deal with the issue. And that is probably some of the things we are not getting right, if you ask me.
As in the centralizing of the police service or the security service?
Well, centralizing, what do you call it? The fight against chieftaincy disputes, the fight against the land cardism, the fight against, in fact, conflict. Centralizing the fight against conflict. We have over-centralized it. And so what they do is to wait for national to respond, and by the time national responds, it's gotten out of hand.
It's gotten out.
We do not have local solutions to dealing with conflicts in this country.
Let me ask you my last question, which is related to what you've just mentioned. We saw in that statement that the IGP has already spoken to the factions or the leaders in this chieftaincy crisis. Is that a good step to dealing with the matter, perhaps? Hello, Doc, can you hear me? Okay, we just lost him there, but thank you very much, Dr. Adam Bona. He's a security analyst. Thank you for sharing your views with us. Now, President John Mahama is set to submit the final batch of his ministerial appointment to the Speaker of Parliament on Monday, January 20, 2025, in line with his commitment to name his full cabinet within 14 days of being sworn into office. The list will include nominees for key ministries such as Defence, Interior, Environment, Health and Labour, as well as 6 regional ministers. This submission will mark the completion of his ministerial team, which the president has pledged to keep to no more than 60 members. President Mahama has consistently reiterated his commitment to a lean government, emphasizing efficiency and effective governance. This final list is expected to draw significant attention as it includes appointment to some of the nation's most critical sectors. So let's bring you some more on the appointments that have been made so far. So far, 25 appointments have been made, 34 more appointments pending. Like I just told you, also, we do have 23. I'm sure you remember that the president said that he would have 23 instead of 30 ministries, and we do have 12 out of the 23 which have been appointed so far. Again, let me bring you a list of the outstanding ministries. We do have Health, we have Defense Ministry, Interior Ministry, Foreign Affairs Ministry, Transport Ministry, Sport and Recreation Ministry, also Land and Natural Resources Ministry, Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation Ministry, also Environment, Science and Technology Ministry, Works, Housing and Water Resources Ministry, as well as Labour, Jobs and Employment Ministry. So there you have it. In terms of the regional ministries, we've had 6. Of course, we have 16 regions in the country. We've had 13 out of the 16. I'm sure you remember that just yesterday, the president named 3 more, making it that 13. We still do have 3 more outstanding, and these 3 include Bono region, Bono East, and Upper West region. So these regions are waiting for their ministers, as it were, who would also head those regions' security council. Let's bring you some gender breakdown in terms of the appointment from the president, and we do have 18 men so far as named and 7 women. So that would represent about 28% of women who have been appointed in the second term of President John Mahama. Again, 11 more women must be appointed to ensure that he hits the 30% mark for female appointments out of the 60 30 ministers, and that 30% is actually a threshold set by the UN. Also, 35 more appointments to be made, 11 substantive ministries, 3 regional ministers. Looks like leaves no room for at least 21 deputy ministers to be appointed. So there you have it as regards really the appointments being made by President Mahama, what is left and what ought to be done. And of course, there are some legal bottlenecks. If you read Article 78 of 1992 Constitution, it talks about ministers of state being appointed by the president with the prior approval of parliament from among members of parliament or persons qualified to be elected as members of parliament, except that the majority of ministers of state shall be appointed from among members of parliament. And we already do know that as a result of the appointment of certain key people in this current administration, the NDC would have to change its leadership in the House in order to ensure that none of the arms of government suffers. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Appointments Committee has not taken kindly to the minority members' comments that claim that he was biased against the site during vetting of ministers designated. Listen to Bernard Ahiafo in a yet-to-be-aired interview on hot issues, speaking and defending his stance.
I have accommodated them and have overindulged them. Going forward, I don't know how they are going to describe me. I never gagged them. For me, when you agree at a pre-sitting meeting or at a meeting that this is what you are going to do, you must go by it. But I went to the extent of bending the ground rules that we have agreed upon to even accommodate certain things that I ought not to have accommodated. Yet, they describe me to be unfair to them. Well, posterity will be the judge.
2 things I want us to look at. What are the things that were not supposed to happen that happened?
That one has to do with the number of people I should give the opportunity to ask questions. 2, there should be some limit on the number of questions or the time frame within which the minority leader is supposed to ask questions, or the leadership of the committee is supposed to ask questions. It looks like the very first experience he had unlimited period, and he was, for me, excessive in the circumstances.
And you had the chairman of Parliament's Appointment Committee, Bernard Ahiafo, in the full interview will air this Sunday at 2 p.m. And we're joined by Dr. Jonathan Asantiotre. He's a political analyst as well as a senior lecturer at UCC in the Central Region. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening,
Doc, let me first find out from you. We've had the president naming a lot or giving a lot more appointments, and he says that by Monday he would have submitted the full list in terms of his appointment. First of all, your thoughts on who has been appointed, as it were, to go to where exactly?
I think that with respect to the various portfolios, spoke about that 2 days ago. Attend.
Doc, forgive me for interrupting. Your line, you sound a bit low, and your line doesn't seem clear. Would you kindly reposition yourself so we're able to hear you well?
Is it better?
Excellent. Please go ahead.
Okay, so with regard to the various portfolios, I think we spoke at length on it about 2 days ago. So I wouldn't want to belabor that particular
Indeed,
point
but
again.
after he named some more just after we spoke. So just asking you really your thoughts.
Well, I have seen in terms of acting CEO of PMMC, Mr. Agyemang. I've also heard of Digital Mokno's appointment as GNPC's CEO or something of that sort. Well, these are all young guys. They have really worked hard for the party to bring the party into government. There is that temptation There's that temptation of this dual role that these people who are supposed to be party officers playing roles in government. We've seen it at play in previous government. It did not work out so well because at the end of the day, it is very difficult doubling as this and that. When the two roles, in actual fact, are quite, demanding and exacting. So maybe because they are young, they will be able to do justice to those portfolios. Other than that, the president might have seen, is exacting particular demands from them, and then maybe we'll take a decision sometime to come later. And so I don't have any problem with the way the appointment has been done. I don't know whether Sami Gyamfi is not too young for the particular portfolio the president has given him. But so
people are hailing it. People are hailing it that the president is giving opportunity to young people. It gives them the space to learn for a period of time.
Yeah, that in itself could be both negative and positive. You are going to deal with people who are by far older than you. And so if you don't, show humility to learn and you want to lord yourself over them, they will create problems for you. And so you will have to demonstrate that humility to learn. The likes of Eduji, fantastic personality, he knows his stuff. Sami Gyamfi, he knows his stuff. But then comes the human touch, which is far different from that which you know. And so if you go to such a terrain that you are not so much used to, well, he has done some mining with a cubic or cubic something. So that experience I'm cited in the appointment letter, so to speak. But I don't have a problem with that. I mean, they have all exhibited those high qualities in leadership and things that they have to do for the party. They've all done that. And so it is quite rewarding that the president is giving the youth that kind of opportunity. And probably he has something in mind. That is why he's appointing, people of some kind of middle age characteristics to be heading such important state institutions. I think that is good.
That is good. You say the president is left with some appointments in very key ministries as well. We have health, defense, interior, foreign affairs, transport, sports and recreation ministry, all yet to be named. He's expected to do that on Monday. What do you expect?
Well, if he is to follow the pattern of appointment that is done for the time being or some few days back, then it means that we must expect that he's going to pick people who fit, that particular bill. And that I foresee that happening. I have advised that he must equally look at some wild cards. And once again, if you have not nominated lands and forestry, well, so far there are certain, regional imbalance that is yet to be balanced. So most likely, maybe in the nominations that are yet to come, you may want to ensure that it is done, because you remember that I divided the appointment and nominations into three. One, you could see that people who have fair mind expertise in areas they were sent there. Two, you could see the female representation also dominating in terms of affirmative action. And then the third one, which that one has escaped me already. But I remember giving about three possibilities in terms of categories, in terms of the nominations and the appointment thereof. And so I don't foresee a deviation from the norm. But I am thinking that he must equally have some first-timers who, if others will have to learn, they must equally learn. Because it is not every first-timer in Parliament that is a novice. There are others with decades of experience in their areas of expertise. And the president must equally be looking at certain parliamentary seats that if in the near future you want to maintain, you will have to look at those places. And I have mentioned Takwan Saim. I've mentioned Cape Coast North. I've mentioned Cape Coast South for that matter. And then also one in the middle belt thereabout, but that one has also escaped me.
Let's.
And so, okay, go ahead.
You don't expect the president to deviate from the norm. I think that's the point you made earlier. But I wanted us to go to the chairman of the appointments committee. Do you think he handled matters well? And what do you expect of him going into the next batch of the vetting?
No, I think that social media is awash with his over-liberalization of the handling of the affairs of the vetting processes. And that has really incensed him. I hope he does not become emotional going forward. Speaking on a high pitch was not necessary. He could still speak in monotone and will make his point. If at this point in time he wants to be the stickler of the rules and practices of Parliament, he can go ahead and do so. But you see, the president is nominating people who are by far qualified to hold those portfolios. So it does not really matter the extent to which the minority will want to go. And I think that if you look at the processes, I've heard Dr. Gideon Bao suggesting that Atuforsen was dodgy with his answers. My goodness, I don't know what he expected of Dr. Atuforsen. That was a dazzling vetting responses, if you ask me. And to be frank with you, you don't expect that he's going to theorize at the vetting and solve every problem at the vetting. No. But you could see the trend that he put forth, that he was someone who knew the depth of finance, tax, revenue, and accounting. And you cannot just take that thing away from him. You ask the question that you later on find out that the figures that you're holding were wrong. And then you go ahead to do that kind of unnecessary pressure.
Let me ask you my last question, Doug. We've heard the president, and he seems to be going by that, saying that he's going to have just 60 posts, as it were, in his government. How would you expect him, which means that actually there are going to be individuals who may not necessarily get any position because the posts are limited. How do you expect the government and the party to handle this so it doesn't create any negative energy or negative, actions, as it were, that may come from these individuals, or acrimony, as it were?
Yeah, I think that the president and the party itself should form a post-appointment committee to handle people with ambitions who probably would have thought that the ambitions have been thwarted by this kind of appointment. And then, give them hope that their time will definitely come. If not, such a huge number in Parliament, they will end up sabotaging the party and the government itself, because you are not any better than the others. Because I don't want to think that it is only people who are closer to the president or the vice president that are getting, the full pie to eat or getting the juicy part of the appointment. If you create that particular a negative energy, definitely you will have a rebound. And I think that no matter what the president does, there's definitely going to be that rebound, because others will not take it kindly, because there are other power brokers within the party that would have wished that their proteges would have been given certain portfolios, because everybody has spent money to bring the party to power. And so definitely the president will step on certain toes, but it depends upon post-appointment management. And that, for me, is the way to go, so that you douse the ambitions and keep the wheels running.
That is the way to go. Thank you very much, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
And you heard that Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, he's a senior lecturer at UCC and a political analyst. Some 39 minutes past the hour of 12 here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
And we're bringing you the latest information on the Ablekuma North constituency recollation of results. The Electoral Commission has just issued a statement regarding what happened today, so I'll take you through that. And it says that the Electoral Commission wishes to bring to the attention of the general public that following the order of the High Court on 4th January 2025, directing the Commission to continue the collation of polling station results and declare the winners of the 4 outstanding parliamentary elections, the only constituency still outstanding is Ablekuma North. It is instructive to state that the order of the High Court mandated the Ghana Police Service to provide the Electoral Commission security to conduct the collation of polling station results from the outstanding constituencies. The collation of polling station results for Ablekuma North took place on the 8th of January 2025 at the old head office of the Commission. However, the exercise was not completed because 3 out of the 281 polling station results were outstanding. The Commission wrote to the Ghana Police Service for the continuation of the collation on the 17th of January 2025 at 8 a.m., which is today. On the day of the collation was expected to take place, the Commission was alerted by the police that per the intelligence available to them, the exercise should be put on hold. The police, however, did not augment security at the premises of the collation center, that is old head office, and the new corporate head office, leading to some party supporters invading the old head office of the Commission and destroying the property of the Commission, including furniture and louver blades. Some of the supporters also invaded the premises of the new corporate head office of the Commission on bicycles. They issued threats to the Commission and the staff. This instilled fear in the staff and caused all members to flee because the environment had become unsafe as a result of the invasion. As a result of this, work has come to a standstill. It is instructive to note that the supporters were led by the Greater Accra Regional Organizer of the National Democratic Congress. Our staff also identified 2 men in military uniform without names in the company of the supporters. We call on the police to swiftly bring the perpetrators to book by identifying, arresting, and prosecuting them. Video footages are available showing the faces of the perpetrators of these heinous acts. Once again, we're calling on the government to engage the Ghana Police Service to ensure that the Commission is provided adequate security to enable us to go to the office and carry out our functions in a safe and secure environment. The threats to lives and property are unacceptable and should not be allowed to continue. The Commission is working around the clock to ensure that the people of Ablekuma North have their Member of Parliament. We need the cooperation of the police to enable us achieve this. Thank you. And that's signed by Samuel Tete, who is Deputy Chairman in charge of operations at the Electoral Commission. And so you heard in the statement there, the Electoral Commission accusing the members of or supporters of the NDC of being behind the chaos that happened. And I'm sure if you've been listening to us and watching us on television, we brought you all the updates from the EC office as the event unfolded. But let's listen to NDC constituency organizer for Ablekuma North, Musa Kalamu, on the botched collation earlier.
Here during the last collation, it's over 1 week now. It's 10 days. Could you believe the EC has not called us to even engage us? We raised serious questions the last time because we have their own returning officers saying the pink sheet that was produced to them was fake, was forgery. What did the EC say about it? We had their returning officer, the same returning officer with 2 different signatures. We raised that concern. They didn't say anything. We have their one Nathaniel, their own PO, who said when he met the returning officer, he did not confirm the figures on the pink sheets. Yet, the returning officer went ahead and recorded those figures on the collation form. These are questions we need genuine answers.
Mr. Musa, okay.
The way forward is the court directed the EC to come and recollate. You know you do not have a single pink sheet. How are you going to do that recollation?
So you want us to have a entire election?
Yeah. 62, because we will never accept for the EC to use MPP scanned pink sheets for recollation.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, it's like your banner is still here. Won't you allow them to retire? Why are they still here?
So the EC communicated to us to be here 8 o'clock. As at now, they've still not told us anything. We've not heard anything from them. That is our problem.
So
we'll be here till close of day 5 o'clock.
So, Mr. Musa.
And you heard that the NDC constituency organizer for Ablekuma North constituency, Musa Kalamu, speaking earlier to George Quaining. Some 45 minutes past the hour of 12. We'll bring you some more on this, but stay with us.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday.
3FM.
What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord. Kwame, that is absolutely my favorite scripture.
Yes, your Inspirational Gospel Mix, a moment to get inspired with the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week on every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
I wake up early every weekday because of you to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiambofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
And you're still here on 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, residents of Gomoa Potin have welcomed the nomination of Ekopenyin Ochre Oduamwa as Central Regional Minister Designate with wild jubilation and excitement. While regarding this as a perfect honor to his hard work, they're expecting the nominee to attend to the developmental needs of the area and the region at large. Akwesiado reports.
Dramani Mahama has nominated Agyemang as the Central Regional Minister designate. This is the reason I am here at Gomwa, his hometown, to speak to residents concerning what they make of this announcement. Residents took to the streets of Gomwa, the hometown of the nominee, to celebrate the good news. As a former member of parliament for the Gomwa East area and the current vice chairman of the NDC, residents believe he will exercise diligence and work hard to address their challenges.
And we know that once he's from here, he's going to pay his dues to the constituency or the district because he's actually from here. It is this place he started his political career. So he will do much for Gomwa East, and we know that he has done it before. He was once an MP, 2 terms, and he worked so well.
When he came to town, you can see the people here. They are very, very happy. Okay, so what we are telling President John Dramani Mahama and Vice President Professor John Nana Agyemang, that we, the residents of Potsi and Ngombois, we are very grateful to them for nominating our son to be the Central Regional Minister.
Yan Mampan John Dramani Mahama, Wabo, Yan Papa na Yan Bleda, Honorable Akopin Ocho, Nizin Nome, Central Regional Minister. Yes, Central Regional also pa na Yin Pin and Obi and Damaquin. And this Aquin do potting Negumi Seda. In fact, Yin Wasada, Yazaba Mayami, Niazans Yazama, Yan Papa.
Supporters of the National Democratic Congress are happy that their hard work has been recognized.
They're pronouncing Honorable Akopin Ocho is something very marvelous. We understand that it's something that's supposed to be done because the man has worked so well. He has done so much for the Central region, and they are pronouncing based on his work. He's currently the vice chairman of Central region, and when the chairman was not around, he took charge and he did so well.
We know what Honorable Akopin did when he was the Gomwa East MP. He brought infrastructure development. Okay, he also built some educational institutions, some health facilities. We trust him that for him to be nominated to be the Central Regional Minister, he's going to bring unity in Central Region.
We thank them for giving us minister. Paying that has been given this ministerial appointment is not by accident. He's a focused somebody. He's an active person. He can do the work more than their imagination. Our former MP, he has done it before, and he will do it.
Traditional leaders of the area who are equally elated have also urged everyone to support the nominee while admonishing him against being a selective leader.
To be a leader is not an easy task. I want him to be a unifier, somebody who can unify us, bring us together. Because together we can bond. And when you are alone, you can't do anything. It should be steadfast in whatever he's going to do. Be honest, transparent to anybody. So that God will also help him to achieve his aim.
Everybody should come on board so that we'll be able to achieve what we decide to do. Then we need a lot of things also to do for us. We are praying to the president that through him, which is now the regional minister, he should help us to tar our road because the road is very dusty.
From a Christian home, family members of the nominee expect him to discharge a selfless leadership, avoid corruption, and treat all manner of people equally, and leave a remarkable legacy.
From where he is coming from, he should look at the grassroots. He should look at the people that he worked with and then see to their well-being, because the people that you see climbing up, they're the same people you see when you are climbing down. So he should check the people that he worked with and then work with them as he's going up.
Yepede okaye djuma no fi na komam no ye man oye de mo ya menyankopon no nye menyipa mo mfa nyim bi na onkaye no na po onje osan na nyim braze oye MP no obiara antini zimbon na why regional minister obiara antini zimbon.
Agyemang Ochre Echo Penyin served as Member of Parliament for the Amoah East constituency for 2 terms, that's 2009 to 2013 and 2013 to 2017, when he willingly opted not to contest again as MP.
Beyond this joy, residents, particularly family members of the Central Regional Minister designate Echo Penyin, are expecting that he discharges his mandate diligently to eschew corruption and ensure that he brings development to the area. I am Akwesi Ado.
Akwesi Ado reporting from the Central Region. 5:55 here on Hot Edition. Benoit Fall is standing by with the latest in business. Don't go away.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry condemns attack on Electrochem's Sanko mine, arguing that it derails investor confidence. My name is Minu Afo. We have details of this and more coming up shortly. Please stay tuned. Now the details. The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GNCCI, has strongly criticized the attack on Electrochem Ghana Limited's Adas Salt mining concession, describing it as a significant setback for attracting foreign investment. On January 9, a group alleged to be politically motivated stormed the concession, vandalized property, and stole equipment belonging to the MacDan Group-owned facility.
When the finance minister or the government scraps taxes, it's only going to fall on the business community to be able to make up for that gap that is going to take away. And if we do this to businesses, what happens to the country? Secondly, how does it even encourage the investor community to want to come to invest in Ghana? And this is a country that we want to grow like any other country, move our nation forward, make it better so that our people do not have to travel over the desert and on the sea to go and look for greener pasture. It is already here. The greener pasture is here. Look at the kind of investment that has been done in this, just in Electrochem. And let's consider what they are looking at other investors wanting to come and join them. And we do this. How do we expect our country to do? So we want to bring the president, the government's attention to what is going on, and we are requesting that the government we have already asked that they make the business community very friendly, give a friendly business environment for people to invest.
GNCCI President Stefan condemning attack on Electrochem Ghana Limited's Adasalt mining concession. Meanwhile, CEO of Magdan Group, Kweku Amprofi, revealed that the company has been forced to pay for additional security to protect its premises. Describing the incident as unfortunate, Mr. Amprofi highlighted Electrochem Ghana's potential to create over 5,000 direct and indirect jobs in the community.
There are several levels of security. Again, with security, I shouldn't give away too much, but there are several levels of security. The security that we can handle on our level, we've beefed that up. We're investing more into security. It's costing us a lot of money. I wish we didn't have these things. We didn't have to spend so much time on security. So on that level, we've invested, or we are investing, and we're putting a lot of money into that. There's also the level of the security where the police handles. I'll leave that to the police to answer what they're doing, but they're definitely doing a lot. And we see their work, we see evidence of it. We've also added a third level of security, which is the military. So Adan now has a lot of military patrols that's ongoing because it's become pretty much a national threat, security threat. So we have that also ongoing. So there are different levels of security that we've beefed up to ensure that, again, we save life and we protect lives and also properties as well.
You heard the voice of Group CEO of Magdan Group, Kweku Amprofi, there. Now, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is urging the government to take proactive steps to reduce the cost of transporting food from farm gates to urban areas. Executive Director Bismarck Tete Owusu-Norte emphasized the need for measures such as lowering fuel costs and building proper storage facilities to help mitigate food inflation, which has persisted through the previous administration. According to data from the Ghana Statistical Service, food prices have been a major contributor to the country's inflation, with transportation costs being a significant factor.
Moving the foods from the farm gates to the market or warehousing also has its own value chain. From the vehicles available, from the road network, which will ensure that foods do not stay longer on the roads, the cost of fuel, the availability of storage facilities. So all these are levels that, as a country, we need to work on. That's why people talk about the value chain approach. So when you work on a value chain approach, then all the actors involved will take up their role, do it in an effective manner, and that will reduce the price of food. But if you bring the ministry in, when they do not have the architecture, they do not even have the budget, they don't have the personnel to do that, then you create a system where you are blocking the natural flow of the value chain and you create inconsistencies in the market, and that will create a lot of problems.
Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Tete Owusu-Norte, there. Before we go, the Ashanti Business Owners Association is cautioning President Mahama against listening to activists who want him to retain certain taxes he pledged to abolish when he took office. According to Executive Secretary Charles Apiakubi, Ghana's current tax regime has severely impacted businesses, necessitating a rationalization to make them more sustainable. He expressed his concern in an interview with 3 Business, highlighting the need for a more business-friendly tax environment.
In terms of the numbers, you realize that tax bet is giving us some revenue, e-levy is giving us some revenue, but what is the dotted effect to your people, to business survival? If we're able to rake in more revenue, but business are collapsing, what is the essence of those taxes? But if we're able to give some tax cuts through tax reforms and rationalization of taxes, and to ensure that businesses are able to pay sustainable taxes, they're able to making some profit to ensure business continuity and economic progress. I think that is what we should be looking at. Anytime government gives tax cut through micro taxes, it becomes part of capital reinvestment into the economy, where businesses are used to expand. They used to create more jobs for the people, and productivity will go high.
Well, that was Charles Apiakubi, Executive Director of Ashanti Business Owners Association, bringing us to the end of the Business News on Hot Edition. For more stories, kindly log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. Please stay tuned. My name is Minwa Full, and Ruta Lights on standby with the sports news.
It's time for sports here on 3FM's Hot Edition. My name is Mutala Yakubu. Now let's start off with some transfer updates in the Ghana Premier League, where both Asante Kotoko and Hartlepool have announced the signing of Isaac Minta and Seth Osei respectively. Now both players signed a 2.5-year deal with their clubs, and Ghana Premier League statistician Mohamed Shaban explains what fans of both clubs should expect from their new men.
Yeah, so Isaac Minta joining Kumasi Asante Kotoko would bring a lot of potency up front. Though Kotoko are already scoring to Kwame Poku, but they would need more players, and for me, Minta stands tall in terms of goal scoring. People are asking questions about strikers who are joining teams, whether they've been consistent in the past few years, and Minta is an example of players who have been consistent. 89 matches in competitive games since 2020-2021. He has netted a total of 47 goals. Then last season, he was the top scorer of the league for Indiana before departing Ghana, where he scored a total of 9 goals in 11 matches. And so as at that period, he was a top scorer, and that is why you can't just underrate Isaac Minta. He can also operate as a number 10, playing behind the strikers, and so that is when the options up front are full, he will still make it to the starting 11. For Osei, since 2020 to 2022, he has scored a total of 8 goals for Ashgood, and he's not a bad player. He's a very good player in terms of holding on the ball and creating space, and that is what Heart of Oak want, creativity. And with creativity, Hamza will score more goals. If you look at Heart of Oak last season, Salif Ibrahim assisted a lot of goals for Hamza Issa, and this time they are lacking that creativity. Though Hussein, Sani at a point were all doing well, they still needed a player that can give the final passes, and Osei is the fine player that can actually do that for Heart of Oak.
So that was Mohamed Shaban, who is a Ghana Premier League expert and a statistician. Moving on to women's football, and former Black Queens coach Yusuf Bazigi has shared advice for newly appointed Queens coach Kim Lassie-Yokeren as he prepares for the women's AFCON in July. Yokeren, as Sweden took over the role following the departure of Nora Hoptel to Zambia. Bazigi emphasized the importance of prioritizing players with stronger character, noting that it will be okay to build a competitive and resilient team. So we'll bring you that voice later, but let's now cross borders and go to the camp of Manchester City, where striker Erling Haaland has signed a new long-term deal with the club that will keep him at the Etihad until 2034. The Norwegian joined City from Dortmund in 2022 and has scored 111 goals in 126 games for the club. The striker's previous deal, which reportedly included a release clause, has been due to expire in 2027. Haaland expressed his delight after signing the deal with the club.
Yeah, for me, I think it's easy because I owe Man City everything. They commit signing me, they commit signing a new deal with me. So the least thing I can do is to do anything I can to perform as best as possible on the pitch and to make City a better football club, to make it a better team, and to help the club perform in the best possible way. So that's what I'm going to try to keep on doing, and yeah, I really.
So that was Erling Haaland, who has signed a new 9-year deal with Manchester City, keeping him at the club to 2034. Now moving on to the camp of Liverpool, where their manager Arne Slot has made it clear that his focus remains solely on his team as they aim to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League table. Despite being chased by Arsenal and Nottingham Forest in the title race, Slot emphasized that he's not concerned about their rivals, concentrating instead on Liverpool performance and the quest for the championship.
I only look at the opponent we have to face, and I know that's a tough one. Brentford was my first Premier League game, I think, and then I already thought, like, oof, if this is going to be the resistance we get every week, then then it's going to be then this is a more difficult league than the Eredivisie, which I knew before I came, but it was proven that day as well. And they've had a very good season till now. Had a 2-2 against City, great game. Both teams creating a lot of chances, and their manager has done a fantastic job for so many years now. You can see that it's a team that has worked together with their manager for a long time. So that's my only focus, and not on when does Arsenal play, or when does Chelsea play, or when do all the others play. We only focus on ourselves and the team we have to face.
That is Liverpool manager there, Andy Slot, speaking about the pressure that his team faces there. Currently, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest are breathing down the neck of Liverpool. Let's wrap up with some tennis, where Serbian star Novak Djokovic has cruised past the Czech Republic's Tomas Makak in the third round of the Australian Open, securing a 6-1, 6-4, 6-4 victory. Djokovic, who holds a record of 24 Grand Slam men's title, shared his thoughts on the impressive win.
I think I played really well, honestly. I mean, I'm relieved. I'm very happy with my game. I was slightly surprised, to be honest, with the result, you know, to beat him straight sets. He was a breakup early in the second. I struggled physically there. Just somehow managed to turn things around, hold my serve when I needed to. Just a couple of points really decided that second set that could have gone his way, and then maybe the outcome of the match would be different. But, you know, overall, I think in the third, you know, felt fresh, moved really well. Overall, very pleased with my game. You know, of course, there's always something to improve, always something to work on, but this is definitely the best match I've played in the tournament.
At age 37, Novak Djokovic is still growing from strength to strength, and he has won 24 Grand Slam titles. And that brings us to the end of the sports here on 3FM's Hot Edition. My name is Mutalaya Kubu. Beatrice Edu has more.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Thank you very much, Mutalaya Kubu, for bringing us the latest in sports. Also to Manoa Fall, who brought us business news earlier. Let's go to Parliament now, where the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, has described the 8th House as the best ever, contrary to some other argument. He says that the hung nature of the House made it possible for members to prevent the abuse, ensure that there was no abuse of power and the misuse of public purse by the executive.
All over the world, if you read the history of UK, there are a number of hung parliaments that have lasted not more than 2 years. And recently, that was what happened to them. They were changing the prime ministers. They were hung parliaments. In the US, they had to pass a law to stop it. It happened from the very beginning, so they came out with a law. In Australia, it's been happening, and they don't last. You know, in India, they've also had hung parliaments, and they have not lasted. We were fortunate to last the whole term of 4 years. And so that's one of the studies they are doing now, the intellectuals, as to how we will be able to make it. Yet, the ignoramus in the country say that that was the worst parliament they ever experienced. But this is one of the best parliaments we ever experienced. We're able to now change the score for our oversight. we're always marked the lowest in West Africa when you're dealing with oversight. When we are dealing with passing laws, because of mob action, you just go in, and it's passed. We should pass so many laws, but look at the quality, then it's a suspect.
Speaker of the 9th Parliament, Alban Bagbin. Now, there are growing concerns within the security sector over alleged politically motivated promotions, with many qualified personnel claiming they have been sidelined in favor of juniors over the last 8 years. As a new administration takes charge and new security heads are appointed, calls for reform and transparency are intensifying. There are also growing calls for reforms to ensure merit-based promotions within the security sector. Let's engage Emmanuel Kuting, who is the Executive Director at the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me too.
Mr. Kuting, security personnel have complained about being sidelined in terms of promotions, despite being qualified, while juniors are promoted over seniors. I know you have argued that merit-based promotions within the security sector have been undermined by political considerations. Looking at the fact that we have a new administration, I'm wondering what you think should be done to ensure that the right thing is done going forward.
Well, the political hold on our security agencies, especially promotion, is a thing that has been with the Fourth Republican Constitution, Fourth Republican period, when we started the Fourth Republican to this time. And rightly so, many of the personnel are of the view that because of political considerations, some of them have been sidelined. And that by itself presents a very serious security threat to our fledgling democracy. Let me give you this example. You know, the ACP Razak, who has been nominated as the National Security Coordinator.
Yes.
He was one time the ADC to the president, the current president. The administration sat on his promotion for 8 good years. And guess what? After 7 December elections, he has been promoted to a DCOP. So what does that tell us? And my research have shown that before you can promote somebody, the police council have to meet. So when did the police council meet and these recommendations were made? And all of a sudden, he's a DCOP.
Remember so that, I'll let you continue, but remember that prior to this promotion you're talking about, we had people who had said that they were due for promotion and had delayed. Could it be that his promotion could be one of those?
Why would the promotion comes after the party whose president he was an ADC2 had won power, and such a promotion can? What happened in the last 8 years? He was dumped at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center as a director of a program. And these are the things that doesn't augur well for the independence and professionalism of our security agencies. And that is why, as an organization, we are calling for an immediate security sector reforms. And it should have some legal backing such that there can be life to this security sector commission that will institute a whole new measures to forestall some of these things and bring confidence with these personnel who have sacrificed their life to keep me and you safe. Don't forget, the service is a regimental institution. So if there's no law and order within the service, it means that me and you will not get the kind of protection we need. If you do a research among the citizens, a lot of people get their rights infringed upon, and because of the behavior of our security agencies, especially the police, they don't report. So we are of the view that within the first 100 days of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, They should, as a matter of agency, set up a security sector reform commission and institute a moratorium on new level senior appointments, and also create channels where whistleblowers can report professional misconduct. You realize that when the leak audio tape came and Parliament had the opportunity to investigate same, serious allegations of extrajudicial killings were made against the person of the IGP. They didn't investigate that. I had information that a personnel from the Ghana Police Service is heading to court because he has evidence of this extrajudicial killing allegation that has been made against the IGP to make sure that those things are investigated. Is it surprising that 2020 there were violence in the 2020 general elections, people were killed, even in 2024, and it has to take the new president to write to the IGP to furnish his office with those investigations. As an IGP by law, you are mandated to investigate crime. So there are a whole lot of issues around these things. That is why we are calling that the president should not ask the security heads to go home, as it has always been the norm. They should let them stay as the heads of these security heads, such that when these security sector reform commissions are formed, they can proceed on leave and appear before same committees or commissions, so that when adverse findings are found against them, they are sent home dishonorably, such that it will send a deterrent measure to be security heads in the future, so that they will adhere to the professionalism that they were trained to so for exhibit. Because the stars on their shoulders, they earn them. Not all the time they have to go by the whims and caprices of the politicians. Look at the CDS. The CDS has been promoted to a full general. Did he go through parliamentary vetting? No. That is an abuse of the executive power. If you look at in other jurisdictions, let's look at the United States of America. Before a general is conferred on anybody, you have to go through Senate hearing.
Do we have the same principle? Because you're comparing Ghana to the U.S.
Because this is the first. So if you have to do the first, you have to put mechanisms in place such that it doesn't bring abuse. So if the president have the power to do that, and for Christ's sake, we are in a democracy. The power belongs to the people. That is why Ghanaians have spoken overwhelmingly that John Mahama is not our president and the executive power have shifted to him. So mechanisms or structures need to be put in place such that you cannot abuse him. So if you look at our core, we think that after the 100 days, the next 3 to 9 months, thorough investigations to be launched into these political oriented promotions and operations, and we conduct a comprehensive audit of recent senior level appointments and promotions. If you speak to our security personnel across board, from police to immigration to fire, they will tell you that, look, their juniors have been promoted over them.
And indeed,
I'll give you an example.
I'm sorry, we're just running out of time. That was something that we talked about earlier, but I just wanted to find out briefly from you. The president is expected to make some other key appointments as well, and especially in the area of security, interior, defense, among others. What are your expectations, especially when we talk about political promotions and how there's a need to reform these things going on in our security services?
These are very key areas. And I'm happy the president is doing further consultations. My checks reveal that those appointments will have been made, but because of other considerations. And you see, such positions should not be given to people who are animated in character, people who are emotional. You realize that in the last government, I'm a youth. I'm so happy that the current president is giving more position to the youth. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo did the same. But the youth in the government of the Nana Akufo-Addo's government became vampires. They became power drunk, and they forgot that the responsibility that was bestowed on them was service to Ghana. But they became lost unto themselves. And I'm praying that the current useful nature of John Mahama's administration, they don't repeat the mistakes of the NPP. Because I'm happy that he promised him and he's bringing that. Having power, looking for power is one thing, and getting power is another. And I'm praying that for these security institutions, they should get level-headed, matured people to head same. If you look at the last government, national security was headed by a very seasoned politician. If you look at interior, I think Ambrose was very seasoned, except that Henry Cote came at the later part of it. Henry Cote is a youth. And for defense, we had a very useful person who did the whole 8 years. And we all know the hulu balu that came within those periods. So I'm pleading with His Excellency that he shouldn't make this security-centered ministerial positions a party thing. It should look beyond party consideration and look at the capacity of these individuals, because the security services are crying.
Indeed.
And if we don't get level-headed ministers that can head these ministries, it means that things might not go right.
We'll have to end it here. Ms. Akotin, thank you so much for speaking to us. And you had the Executive Director at the African Center for Security and Counterterrorism, Emmanuel Kuting. And that's it for Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.